Please be seated. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the July meeting of the full council, our first since the annual general meeting in May. Without delay, we'll do any first items from business on the agenda. Item 1, any apologies? Councillor Pearce?
Councillor Poulter, Councillor Shawala and Councillor Morgan.
Councillor Bonser?
Councillors Whitby, Councillor Nawaz, Councillor Martin and Councillor Ashby.
Any more? Thank you. Councillor Ingles just rang, he's stuck in traffic, so they should be here shortly, both of them. Item 2, declaration of interest. Is there any declarations of interest, please? Nope. Item 3, minutes of the meeting of council held on 21st of May 2025. We will now approve the minutes of our last meeting. Will somebody move these, please? Councillor Dinser. Seconder, please. Councillor Hasselgrave. Any speakers? No? Proceed to the vote. All for? Thank you. Most recently, I was delighted to attend Derbyshire's first education... Sorry? Is it here? Sorry, beg your pardon. Item 4. I have a small number of announcements to be made this evening following a busy period for both myself and the Deputy Mayor. The year began with the reopening of Derby's Market Hall, a major milestone in the generation of our city centre and a sign of confidence in Derby's future. It was a privilege to witness the public's response to this beautiful revitalised space. I was also honoured to present this year's George Rennie City Heritage Awards, recognising the care, skill and dedication involved in both conserving our historic buildings and delivering high-quality new developments within our conservation areas. The Deputy Mayor represented the city at the Lord Lieutenant's annual service of celebration and Thanksgiving, which paid tribute to Derbyshire's outstanding voluntary and community sector, a reminder of the tireless work being done, often quietly in support of others. I was proud to attend the open day and privileged prize given at the Royal School for the Deaf celebrated the achievements of an exceptional group of students. Likewise, I enjoyed offering words of welcome this year's Derby Ramathon, which brought together thousands of runners and supporters from across the city and beyond. July began with two very special events: the 100th anniversary gathering of the British-Ukrainian Youth Association, a deeply respectful and moving occasion, and the 50-year celebration of the Derby Hindu Temple Gita Bhavan, which brought together generations to reflect on 5 decades of service and devotion in our city. As is customary, the Deputy Mayor joined the Mercian Regiment's annual pilgrimage at Christchurch, honouring the memory of those who have served together. We also marked the 30th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide, which residents from Derby's Bosnian community, a solemn act of remembrance and a reaffirmation of our shared commitment to peace and humanity. Most recently, I was delighted to attend Derbyshire's first special educational needs athletics tournament at Moorways Stadium, an inspiring showcase of perseverance, talent and inclusivity, and to officially open Valiant Life today, a significant new investment that highlights Derby's continuing importance as a centre of innovation and industry. Both the Deputy Mayor and I are very much looking forward to more fantastic events in the months ahead and to meet more of Derby's inspiring residents. I would now like to take a moment to pay tribute to the remarkable achievement of Derby City Council's Children's Service Team, who have once again been rated outstanding by Ofsted, their second consecutive inspection to receive the highest possible judgment. The result stands as a powerful endorsement of the leadership, dedication and professionalism of all those involved. The inspectors praise the consistently high-quality social work, the strong support for children in care, levers and the commitment to ensuring that children and families receive the right help at the right time. The achievement is not only a source of great civic pride, but also a reflection of our shared commitment to protecting Derby's most vulnerable residents. On behalf of this council chamber, I'd like to extend our gratitude and congratulations to everyone involved with this fantastic outcome. Before I conclude, I also want to pay tribute to Andy Smith, the council's Strategic Director of People Services. Not only has Andy's leadership been instrumental in achieving the fantastic Ofsted outcome, but his exceptional and lifelong contribution to supporting children's social work has been recognised by the King, who awarded Andy with a CBE in His Majesty's recent birthday honours list. Sadly, Andy can't be with this evening, but I'm sure the Chief Executive will pass on our congratulations. The recognition by His Majesty is richly deserved. Item 5, yeah? Right, item 5, statements by the member of the Council Cabinet. We now move to statements from the members of the Council Cabinet. We have been notified that Councillor Peatfield has given a notice of statement related to the city centre safety. As a reminder, statements are not limited and opposition spokespeople will have option to respond. Sorry, Councillor Wright.
From your announcement, there was an event that the Deputy Mayor attended on the 22nd of June to mark the Windrush commemorative event. On the 22nd, and that's missing from your announcement. Okay. So I just thought I'd raise it. Perhaps the Deputy Mayor himself might say something about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Ryan. As a reminder, statements are not time limited and opposition spokespeople will have option to respond. However, it will not be open to debate from the floor. So over to you, Councillor Peatfield.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As Leader of the Council, I wanted to take the opportunity to speak directly to members, to our residents, businesses and visitors to our city following the deeply concerning incident in broad daylight where 3 individuals smashed the window of a pawnbroker in our city centre. This took place in the St Peter's Cross area, a location we have already identified as a focus for tackling antisocial behaviour. The police have rightly increased their presence in this area, and we are working closely with them and our partners to respond swiftly and effectively. But let me be clear, violence and criminality in our city and county will not be tolerated. We are proud to live and work in Derby, a vibrant, diverse and welcoming city. The overwhelming majority of people who come into our city centre every day do so peacefully and respectfully. Most people do not carry knives or engage in harmful behaviour. It is a very small minority who cause disruption and distress, sometimes with devastating consequences, and they do not represent our community. In recent weeks, the number of serious incidents, including several tragic murders, has been unprecedented for our area. Each case is unique, and in every instance, police have acted swiftly to make arrests and launch comprehensive investigations. The public has been vital in supporting these efforts, and I urge everyone to continue working with us, not only to gather evidence, but also to restore public confidence and ensure visible reassurance in our communities. We are taking action. Across the partnership, including local authority, the police, community groups and health services, we are working tirelessly to make it harder for criminals to operate, clamping down on low-level antisocial behaviour, drug dealing and organised crime to prevent escalation. Policing has become more proactive, and the latest figures show a 29% increase in stop searches across Derbyshire, targeted based on sound intelligence. This is helping to disrupt criminal behaviour, and we're also encouraged by the latest Office for National Statistics, which show a 13% drop in knife crime between 2023 and 24. But we do ask for more, better and faster. And to that end, I will be writing to the Home Secretary to ask her for further support for Derby. I can also inform you that today, Derby South and Derby North MPs met with the Home Secretary to discuss city centre safety in Derby. I'm also working with the police to introduce a knife amnesty bin in the Council House reception, a safe space with security where hopefully people wishing to hand over a weapon won't feel intimidated out of doing so by having to enter a police station. But let us be realistic. These issues can't be resolved by enforcement alone. Serious violence and knife crime are not isolated problems. They are symptoms of wider societal challenges. This is a public health issue, a moral imperative and a community mission. We must tackle the root causes. Decades of austerity have taken their toll. Since 2010, the governments have cut over 20,000 police officers nationally and imposed cuts on councils and public services that support our most vulnerable residents. At the same time, poverty has deepened, and with parliamentary data consistently showing a strong link between deprivation and higher levels of antisocial behaviour and crime. And in a recent report in the paper, the leader of the opposition stated to the press that the council should hang their head in shame. No, Councillor Hassel, the Conservative Party should hang their heads in shame for caring so little for people during your time in government and for caring so little about our city during your time leading this council. You've denounced this council over this incident, but not the culprits who carried it out. This, to me, speaks to your priority of putting politics before place. I remind everybody in this chamber and across our city, we can't fix this overnight, but we can and must work collectively across all levels of government, our schools, the NHS, youth services, mental health services, police and the justice system to build long-term solutions. And communities themselves have a crucial role to play, and we as leaders of them must lead by example and work together. If we stand together as the law-abiding majority to protect the future of our city, we owe this to our young people, our families, and every resident who wants nothing more than to feel safe and proud of the place they call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peafield. Right, I'd like to ask a member of each group to come with a response, please. So, Councillor Hassel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A little over a year ago, I was walking in the city centre to meet colleagues for Armed Forces Day, actually. And while walking up St Peter's Street, I happened to follow a police vehicle that went through St Peter's Cross. The officers, two of who were in that vehicle, drove by a crowd of individuals smoking drugs, which was quite prevalent in the air, drinking beer, making a noise which isn't against the law. However, two officers entrusted with the safety of this city passed by and turned an eye. Fast forward to this year, Mr. Mayor, we saw the unfortunate events again on St Peter's Street in Lloyds Bank, and we tragically saw the loss of a life. Subsequent to that, we have seen knife crime and incidents in Normanton, in Elveston, most recently in Littleover. And then earlier this week, Mr. Mayor, we saw the thuggish and, quite frankly, scumbags who are not welcome in this city, smashing and grabbing in what it can only be described as a daylight robbery. This is not my city that I recognise, Mr. Mayor, and hopefully not one that anyone in this chamber recognises. I've lived in this city all my life. I was born here. I've never, ever witnessed such fear and anger from the public as we are currently facing. And it's fear and anger, Mr. Mayor, in equal measure. Fear because people do not wish to go into our city centre because of the events I've just highlighted, and anger because the authorities, this council and the police are seemingly doing nothing. Now, Councillor Peatfield has quite thankfully reminded us that despite the incidents I've listed, she's still yet to write to the Home Secretary for help. Why leave it till now? Why leave it till we've had a loss of life, until we've had windows put through in smash and grab in broad daylight. People in this city deserve better. The police are absent, and when they are present, they're ineffective. We have criminals, Mr. Mayor, as was witnessed in a video I'm sure we've all seen this week, happy and comfortable to commit that crime in this city. Why? Because they know, A, there's no police presence, and B, there's no enforcement when there is. That's why we're getting these awful incidents in our city. It's with some irony, Mr. Mayor, that the most robust response that the leader of the council has given us is in response to my comments, that they should hang their head in shame. And yes, they should. It is their responsibility. This is on their watch. I can list it. The government, the administration of this council, the Police and Crime Commissioner, MP for Derby South, MP for Derby North, MP for Mid Derbyshire, all the levers at your control, you could wish for no more power to help and do something, and you have done nothing, absolutely nothing. And if you don't believe me, please get out from behind the lens and from the photo opportunities and go and speak to the businesses and the people and the residents and the pensioners who daren't go down St Peter's Street and daren't use the bank and daren't go into the shops. Why? Because we have authorities in Derby doing nothing. We've got people afraid to use the services and the businesses and the new market hall and all of the great, fantastic new initiatives that are now appearing in this city, all under austerity. I remind you that they appeared in this city, Councillor Peatfield. Unfortunately, Mr. Mayor, Derby is lawless under Labour, and it's on their watch. And they can, it's a laughing matter, is it, Deputy Leader of the Council? It's a laughing matter that we're losing lives. Yes, is it? Because I don't think it's funny, not one bit of it. And quite frankly, if the administration of this council was a different colour in the middle of this chamber, Mr. Mayor, they would be up in arms. And we are too. And that's backed by the people and residents of this city. What needs to happen, Mr. Mayor, is robust enforcement and listen to the people and residents and businesses in this city centre. We've got an opportunity to stop low-level crime, but it's being dismissed, and that's where it starts. We've got people afraid to go down St Peter's Street because of out-of-control speeding e-scooters by fast food delivery riders, many of whom, Mr. Mayor, might I add, have face coverings. For what reason? It's 30 degrees out there. We've got the Police and Crime Commissioner telling us that we're spending X amount on new CCTV. It is redundant if people have their face covered. We need to know who's in that city centre. And anyone wearing a face covering for no legitimate reason should be stopped. The mass raiders who were on St Peter's Street, we all could see, had face coverings. And if we had police there at the right time, present, and being effective with enforcement, we wouldn't be seeing this happen. So please, I'm asking you, as the administration of this council, and Councillor MP Shankar at the back of the room, you've got the ear of government, you've got the place to act, and the power. So please do what people are put you in your place to do, and quite frankly are paying you to do, and get on with the job and make this city safe. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hassel. Councillor Prosser.
I just wanted to be brief, thank you. I'm very disappointed that the statement today included a very political statement. It's not the time for that. We've all seen, unfortunately, on a daily basis, large-scale organised crime across the city for a while now, and not enough being done. I personally look forward to a day when I don't walk out my front door and daily see organised crime. And we are looking desperately now for results. Even in Overston South, one of the sleepiest wards in the city, we have recently had multiple armed raids by the police to try and combat some of this crime. But it's not enough, and it's a little bit too late. I'm really looking forward, and we're all watching now, to see what you can do with the position of power you have, as has been mentioned, to make sure that this kind of stuff is actually sorted out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Prosser. Councillor Kerr?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I thank the leader for having brought this to us, because it is a really important issue for the city. It's highly worrying, and I condemn all those people who are adding to the violence of our city, because it is actually a very few number compared to the hundreds of thousands of people who live here and live here peacefully and go about their lives supporting each other. It is a tiny minority of people who are spoiling it. It's not the city centre I know, it's not the suburbs I know. I thankfully have not personally experienced this sort of violence. I have not witnessed it. But what I would like from the police is some more guidance about those who were seen walking past in the video, which I think most people have seen, and not stopping. There was somebody who had stopped to take the video, but what should people have been doing? Were they taking their phones out? I couldn't see them, and phoning 999. Should they have stopped and stared? Should they have said loudly to each other, this isn't what we want to do? Who is phoning the police? I don't know. I think it would be a great thing to have the police here as on the agenda for our full council meetings, so that we could ask them their advice. Because if this is not the last time it happens, then I think people of Derby need to have a little bit of guidance as to what action we should be taking. My personal view is that we shouldn't just be walking past and making it look as though this is something that is normal behaviour. It is not normal behaviour for Derby. We should not be treating it as normal behaviour for Derby. But we also know that the people who are doing this are probably people who have been living in Derby and may even have grown up in Derby. And we are somehow failing them. And that is a council's responsibility, to make sure that we are not failing people to the extent that they feel that attacking legitimate premises and attacking each other with knives is something that is acceptable. So we have got something we need to take away as a council and to be doing more, whether it's with young people in schools, and that was mentioned, whether it's other ways in dealing with some of the inequalities that we have in our city. So I would like us to include, and hopefully Democratic Services will take this away, as the review of our constitution maybe gets refreshed, and to see if we can work with the police to be able to bring in the opportunity to ask the police questions in the same way as we could, if we wished at this meeting, ask questions of Derby Homes or the fire service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Ingle?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to apologise for my group being late. I'm afraid something's been spilled on the A52 and we were stuck on it for 45 minutes. I do wonder, Mr Mayor, if the police are almost scared of criminals. Because I can only pick up something that's been happening in my ward for the last few days. We've had the travelling community descend upon us, and we're ringing the police, and the police are not attending. Last night, in the Sweet Lounge in Chellaston, they were holding a quiz night. The travellers came to try and gain access. They were refused. The police were called. The police did not attend. People had to lock themselves in there until they'd gone. Is this really what we should be expecting from our police force? And well, I would urge the leader of the council to get the chief constable to come down here and have a conversation about what we expect from the police force. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ingle. Okay, moving on to item 6, questions from members of the public. We will now hear questions from members of the public to Cabinet members. We've received 12 in total. I note we have several members of the public joining us who have not asked questions at this meeting before. When asking your supplementary questions, please turn on your microphones and speak clearly. Please note your supplementary questions must be related to the written response you have received. Please be succinct when asking your questions, and remember that statements are not permitted. Thank you. Over to you, Alex.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I believe the first question is from Kelechi Chioba to Councillor Onwaha. I don't believe that Mr Chioba is... we've not received any written confirmation from the question to that effect. I understand that you're asking a question on behalf of Julie Brandon, is that correct?
She's also nominated me. I think word got round. I've had a message from Kelechi saying she's not able to attend, but could I relay her question?
Your discretion, Mr Mayor. Okay, in which case we'll move to question B, which is from Kiatara.
There was no addressing directly to me. Sorry, I couldn't hear the rationale.
The Constitution requires that Democratic Services are notified in advance of any public questioners that would like to nominate a substitute, and I don't believe we've received anything in this case unless my colleagues are able to confirm otherwise.
I understand. I can provide the message if it's helpful to perhaps a member of the council. I'm mindful that under the Equality Act 2010, reasonable adjustments are made for disabled people, and it is regarding a disability health matter that's stopped Kelechi from being able to be present and take part today.
It is at the Mayor's discretion, and I think in this instance the Mayor has asked that we move on to question B.
Even regarding the reasonable adjustment legal duty under the Equality Act 2010 to ensure that disabled people can participate, including via a representative?
Now we'll be moving on to question B. Question
Correspondence
B
will follow
is
up.
from Kayatara Akasha to Councillor Onwaha. Again, I don't believe they are in attendance. Question C is from Derek Gould to Councillor Onwaha. Again, Mr Gould's not here. We now have a question from Adrian Perry to Councillor Kozlowski. I believe Mr Perry is here. So, Mr Perry, would you like to ask your supplementary question, please?
Yes, thank you, Councillor. I just note the reply from the Council about the sister relationship between Hebron and Derby has not been actively pursued since 2014. Actually, a number of people have tried to pursue it, have sought the assistance of the City Council in doing that, and actually we found it very difficult to get any assistance. What I want to try and do is to bring people up to date. When Councillor Farid Hussain visited Hebron in 2014, the situation was bad. A friend of ours who is in the Derby Friends of Hebron is there right now. And on Thursday, she wrote me a very brief account of the situation there, and I'll read it to you. Apparently, settlers have attacked...
Mr Perry, can I ask you to move to the question, please?
Well, I'm trying to do some background.
No, we don't want to set the question, please.
Well, the question is, I'm trying to say that actually the situation is worse. And actually, you need some information to know that. It's very brief, because actually the question relates to it. So, okay then, the question is, given the situation...
Mr Perry, can I just stop there? We are aware of the situation.
Yeah, okay then. The situation is very, very bad. And what I'm going to say is, what I want the Council to do is to review not just its kind of relationship in terms of a sister relationship with Hebron, but its banking and investment arrangements to ensure it complies with international law and the rulings of the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court.
This isn't the question. Can you just come back to the question, or will you stand it there, please?
This is the question. It's about the relationship between the Council and Hebron. And what's going on in Hebron right now.
But we're aware of
You're
that.
breaking the law by having arrangements, and economic arrangements, financial arrangements with Israel. Sorry? Derby City. I'm asking you to review it to make sure that you are compliant with international law.
Councillor Costa, do you want to answer the question, please, as a Cabinet member?
Thank you, Mr Perry. I'm not 100% sure what the question is, but we've made a commitment at this present time to mark and celebrate our 50-year anniversary with our relationship with Osnabrück and continue to nurture our relationship with Toyota City. If there's information that you want to share with us, you're welcome to do so, but unless there's a straight question, I can't really comment any further. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kozlowski.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Next question is question E from Julie Brandon to Councillor Peatfield. I do believe we've had notification that Vanessa Boone will be asking a question on behalf of Julie Brandon. So, Ms Boone, over to you.
Thank you. As some shortfalls have been noted regarding some elected representatives and sometimes the staff who attend with them at events to celebrate equality and diversity, it would suggest that there's maybe not adequate guidelines and training or something that isn't quite working to help those representing a council at public events to meet the standards expected. Can you tell us about the length and depth of the equality diversity training provided to councillors and staff attending such events?
Thank you, Vanessa. Every year we refresh and renew our equality and diversity training, and all councillors are required to attend those. And that is a matter of public knowledge, I believe. So, yeah, it's annually that it gets refreshed. Anything further, without being specific about what such incidents, I don't think I can give any further information, really.
Thanks, Adina. I wasn't asking about incidents, but length and depth was the question, length and depth of training provided?
I think the question has been answered by Councillor Peatfield, so thank you. Move on to the next question, please.
Respectfully, the question was the length
question has been answered,
and depth.
Vanessa, by Nadine Peatfield. Councillor Peatfield, are you happy with your response? Yes, thank you.
This is not good democracy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The next question is from Pippa Nair to Councillor Anwaha. I believe that Ms Nair has given her apologies, which brings us to question G, which is from Simon Bacon to Councillor Peatfield. I believe Mr Bacon is here. So, Simon, over to you.
Councillor Bacon, when you're ready, please.
Councillor Bacon. I've been upgraded again. Yeah. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for your response, Councillor Peatfield. Noting that I did ask about if the county wanted the project to continue as part of my question, if the county council leader and leadership wanted to terminate the project, would you agree to this request, Councillor Peatfield?
Thank you, Mr Bacon. Look, I am not here to answer any questions on behalf of the county council. The leader of that council, you should address your questions to him.
He's not far away, is he?
In the correct manner, in the correct council chamber, not this one.
I was just asking if you would agree to it.
I believe that I'm responding now.
Oh.
Thank you.
Well, everybody likes to shout at everybody today, don't they? So I felt left out. Sorry.
Simon, can you just let the leader answer the question, please?
Yeah, sorry, Nadine.
Councillor Peatfield, over to you.
There's anarchy in this room this evening. As public bodies, both of our councils are under a duty to ensure decisions are taken rationally, in light of the full facts and without predetermination. And, of course, we also have a duty to protect our residents' health and well-being. Due to a joint comms protocol agreed as part of the settlement from last year's dispute, I am unable to offer my personal view at this time. But I can assure you that at the point in the decision-making process where I am able to express my views, I will do so very vocally. With all of that in mind, I am not able to answer your question at this time. The procurement process will shortly be drawing to an end, at which point both councils will review the outcome of the process and assess the viability of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We now move to question H, which is from Ryan Meehan to Councillor Chambers. I believe Mr Meehan is here. Ryan, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Chambers, for your response. After years of uncertainty around our libraries, how can we, the residents of Derby, be assured that we won't be in this position again in a couple of months?
Thank you, Mr Meehan. You're right to ask the question. The libraries have been on a roller coaster of instability. I didn't say in July 2022 I had no intention to close Derby libraries. That was Councillor Eyre. On the very same day, Councillor Poulter said he could make no promises over the future of the libraries. I didn't say in December 2022, although we are talking about the end of the community managed library project, we are looking to keep the more popular ones open and hope that local communities will join us in doing that in places like Spondon and Alistry. Councillor Poulter did. I didn't agree cuts in the budget in 2022 to
Councillor
the
Chambers,
tune of...
can I just come back? We don't need a history lesson. Can you just answer the question, please?
I'm answering the question.
Just get to the point, please.
Meaning books, resources and staffing were significantly reduced. I didn't say in February 2023 we are not closing the libraries on March the 31st. This is what we always wanted and was always our intention. There has always been money in the budget and it would hardly have been there if we had not intended to keep them
Councillor
open.
Chambers, please, for the
Councillor
second time. Councillor Chambers, please, can you just answer the question?
Yes.
Please, thank you.
Conservative Council have claimed that Labour has put the future of Derby libraries in limbo. I say, in July 2025, this simply isn't true. In fact, I say this is the most stability the libraries, their staff and dedicated volunteers have had in many years. I also say we are not fearful, we are not in limbo, and we are not closing them, Mr Meehan.
Thank you, Councillor
Mr.
Chambers.
Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The next three public questions from Kelechi Chioba, Kiyotara Akasha and Pippa Naya, they're not in attendance, so we'll move straight to question L, which is from Simon Bacon to Councillor Swan.
Thanks for your response, Councillor Swan. Residents in the community suffered terrible parking problems in the period of Ramadan. I know this as a resident in the community after a new mosque opened. Upwards of 50 cars were parked illegally nightly, which amounts to 1,500 illegally parked vehicles. But the council appears to have only issued 16 tickets for the full month. The council were aware of this situation, so why did they take so little action which enabled the situation to continue for the whole month? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Bacon. You're very lucky that in your ward you've got very proactive councillors. And I've already spoken to Councillor Carr, who has already informed me that they are working with the community to address future parking issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swan. Okay, item 7, questions related to Derbyshire Fire Authority or Derby Homes, not been received. So item 8, questions from non-council cabinet members. We now move to questions from non-council cabinet members. 15 have received on this occasion, so again, I need to send it to you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Question M is from Councillor Holmes, Matthew Holmes to Councillor Swan. Councillor Matthew Holmes.
Thank you. A recent overview and scrutiny review recommended to Cabinet that they address the inability for ward councillors to propose and deliver modest transport improvements in their areas. This doesn't fit into a 3 to 5 year strategic plan and were previously delivered via annual ward local transport priorities, but that stopped, leaving Mickleover and many other areas with a backlog of undelivered schemes. Small schemes are not hard to deliver, and in the past they were delivered. This is a deliberate change. Are you willing to work to resolve this, or is your message to residents they're not going to get the road safety improvements legitimately raised by their ward councillors?
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. I would like to think that both your residents and as local councillors that you are prepared to work with the Highways team to get the best outcome for your community. We have introduced a proactive approach which will be about the ward taking some ownership about the projects that they want on their scheme. You talk about small scale projects, but putting yellow signs, double yellow lines on roads are not small scale projects and do require legislative intervention. So the answer to your question is we are doing it, and I hope that you will be able to work within the new approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swan. Next question, Councillor Wright to Councillor Onower, please.
Mr Mayor, yes, thank you. Thank you, Councillor, for your restatement of our policy on anti-Semitism. But if you actually speak to the experience of the Jewish community in Derby, you'll hear a picture of isolation, vulnerability and anxiety. So, Councillor, we don't record anti-Semitic incidents in Derby. We've got no policy to reassure the Jewish community in Derby for the threats that they face, and there's no regular interfaith discussion to actually dampen down community tensions. So in light of all that, do you think we're doing enough to support our Jewish community in Derby?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Wright, for your question. Now, as I said in my statement, we do not take the issue of hate-based crimes lightly, whether they're to the Jewish community, whether it's Islamophobia, whether it's racism. All people in Derby should feel safe to call this place their home. And we are working towards doing that. Now, it doesn't help really if we try to single out a particular group because we've had conversations with that group. Do what I do, what some of us do, talk with everyone. And then you would see that there's a need there to work together. And people are working together. The Multi-Faith Alliance and multi-faith groups. I'll tell you what, I'll invite you to some of the community conversations we have, and then you would see that people are talking together. But hate-based crimes to all communities should not be tolerated, and that should be our stance.
Thank you, Councillor Onua. Next question, Councillor Pandey to Councillor Onua.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for a very precise answer. Can I please ask the Cabinet Member for Street Pride, how many fines being issued in Macquarie, New Zealand ward for the similar incidents? I believe they're not 100.
Well, thank you, Councillor Pandey. Of course, they are not 100 because our first aim isn't to fine citizens. Our first aim and what we've done, and maybe one of these days we should walk down House Street together. And I would like to say a huge thank you to residents of House Street who have improved in their compliance to taking their bins off the streets. Richardson Street has none whatsoever. And this is what we should be looking for, changing behavior rather than fining residents. Wouldn't you agree, Councillor Pandey?
No, I wouldn't.
Well, where you're fining, we're changing behavior.
Thank you, Councillor Onua. Councillor Patterson to Councillor Swan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The constant disruption of temporary lights on Station Road has become an absolute circus. Over the last 12 months alone, we've had 177 days of temporary lights on this one road. And this is an issue that's been going on for years, and we've had enough. We now know at least 75 of those days were to lay new cabling to support thousands of new homes built on the edge of Mickleover. Despite myself and my fellow councillors constantly raising concerns about the impact of thousands of homes on Mickleover, time and time again we get told by officers and developers that we have the infrastructure to cope. Clearly we do not. And now we are facing another 2,500 homes being bolted onto Mickleover by South Derbyshire Council, adding further pressure to our infrastructure. So can I ask Councillor Swan and the Highways team to conduct a full review of the utility and services infrastructure in Mickleover and provide us with a report of the steps being taken to ensure Mickleover residents don't spend the next few years sat in queues at temporary lights?
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. Councillor Swan.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Patterson. Years. Okay. I'm not quite sure with regards to your request, but I will go back to the Highways team and ask if this is possible. So I will respond back to you personally. Thank you.
The next question, Councillor Swan, has been asked to be deferred by Councillor Twella because she's not here, so she'll ask that question next time round. Next question, Councillor Eyre to Councillor Onua. Councillor Onua, you're busy tonight, aren't you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Nwaha, for your answer. The Oakwood Park pathways are a key route across Oakwood, and the loss of lighting raises an array of safety concerns, not least relating to violence against women and girls, also the general safety of individuals in an area of near total darkness where we see a not insignificant amount of antisocial behaviour. The situation has been ongoing for months, and I fail to see the need for an assessment given these are replacement lights, not new. But given the additional £1 million in parks funding for this financial year, which could be used to purchase additional lighting where the board budget is not sufficient, will the Cabinet Member commit to using a portion of this funding to reinstall lighting, ideally proper lampposts, to replace the lost lighting on Oakwood Park? Yes or no?
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Onua.
Thank you, Councillor, for that bit of casework. I'll say that you do perhaps learn from your Mickleover colleagues who, when they had an issue that they wanted in their patch, set up a meeting, and we did work to restore the, to refurbish the Bramble Book Play area. Now, that is how we work. And of course, I'm happy to have that conversation, just like I did with the Mickleover colleagues, but I'll say the council chambers are not the place for casework.
Thank you, Councillor Noah. Next question is Councillor Mulhall to Councillor Chambers, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So, just to be absolutely crystal clear, the Cabinet member has absolutely no idea how many undocumented migrants are currently in Derby.
Maybe if certain members of this chamber hadn't have thrown their toys out of the pram when officers scheduled a training session for us all on asylum seekers and refugees, you may have asked the correct question. I feel you were alluding to and used the correct terminology. So for the next full council meeting, I can answer your question if you ask it in the right terminology. So illegal immigrants, these human beings enter to stay in a country without legal authorisation. Refugees, these are human beings who are forced to flee their home country due to war, violence, persecution, or a well-founded fear of persecution based on race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. Asylum seekers are human beings who have fled their country and are seeking international protection, but whose claim for refugee status has not yet legally been recognised. So please brush up on your terminology. Maybe we can get that training rescheduled and we might all learn something.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Next question is from Councillor Cuss to Councillor Onuwa, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My follow-up question is, when the pilot scheme has finished, will the Cabinet member meet with myself and the two other Alveston North councillors to come up with a proper plan how we can address this issue in Alveston North? Also, if you could let me know when the pilot scheme is due to finish. Thank you.
Councillor.
Thank you, Councillor Cuss. And Mr. Mayor, I will remind you that there's a standing rule. If you get my name wrong, you owe me a pint.
No worries. Have I got it wrong?
So far, you owe me 3.
Okay. How's it pronounced then?
Onuoha.
Onuoha, that's it. You owe me a pint back now. Sorted.
Councillor Cuss, it's nice to see you come around to the idea of enforcing on bins on the streets, because I remember early on, you really didn't want it in the ward. But now that it seems that we're coming around, and it's not just your ward, but other wards as well, I'll be happy to sit with you to figure out the areas of the highest need in your ward. And as with regards to when the pilot scheme will end, it should be rounded up next month, during which I'll be happy to share the success of the scheme, not just in Marquardt and New Zealand, but also in Abbey Ward and in Normanton, so Blake Greaves. Oh yeah, Arboretum. Oh, thank you very much. See, you're following this thing.
Thank you, Councillor Onuoha. Next question. Councillor Matthew Holmes to Councillor Shiraz Khan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The answer does not resolve the issue I'm raising. I can't understand why the Council does not accept there should be adhering to the requirement for local authorities to publish the date by which representation must be made. Other LAs do this. And just to be clear, this is the end of the statutory consultation period. Critically, is also the window for councillors to call in an application to be considered by Planning Committee. By not making this clear, it's had a significant consequence to how a recent application was decided. And I'm being repeatedly told this council will not publish the formal consultation end date. Do you agree with this stance? And can I discuss this further with you, as a formal complaint is likely now to follow, along with a referral to the local government social care ombudsman? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Khan.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. The rules and regulations legislation is the same in this council as it was when you was the leader of the Conservative group. We haven't changed any specific rules for you. However, you are always welcome to come and have a chat with me. I've never declined your phone calls or anything like that. Indeed, the only time you have sent me an email, I replied to you straight away, and you never got back to me after that email. So to come and sit here and, you know, play to the audience, I honestly fail to see what you're asking. Are you saying to me that the people of Derby can't understand the difference between end date and expiry date? If that is the case, I will, you know, willingly help the people of Derby and say, Councillor Holmes is right, let's change it. But come and have a chat with me and ask a proper question. And I think you missed what the Mayor said when he said, ask a supplementary question relevant to the answer.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. Next question is Councillor John Wright to Councillor Onuaha.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, you can't answer the question, was antisocial behaviour awareness week a success? However, Superintendent Webster of Derbyshire Constabulary can. She said yesterday that Derby is blighted by crime and criminality. Strong words. Isn't it about time that rather than words, you actually ask the Police and Crime Commissioner and the Chief Constable to actually dedicate resources to Derby City Centre, like St Peter's Street, like Macklin Street, like Sadlergate, which members of the community and businesses are telling us time and time again are beset by antisocial behaviour. Why don't you ask her to the 35 officers that have been dedicated to Derbyshire, why aren't they allocated to Derby City Centre?
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Onuaha.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Wright. Wow. It's called the Derbyshire Constabulary for a reason. It's not just Derby City. And you should know this. You were a senior police officer. However, we are getting more resources into the police force, finally. And you will see that increased footfall in Derby City Council. Now, again, I would ask that some of these things we talk about continually rather than come to the council chambers to try, seek and blow this up. We've never had this conversation previously, and I would welcome a chance to actually sit down and perhaps draw from some of your experience having been a police officer. I hope you will accept.
Thank you, Councillor Onuaha. Next question, Councillor to Councillor Onuaha again, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank the Cabinet Member for his answer, but I'm deeply concerned that the words considered as part of a developing wider piece of work just means none. September will see an array of new students heading into our nighttime economy, and there are disgusting individuals out there who will seek to prey on vulnerable, intoxicated people. If the Ask for Angela scheme isn't working, it is disastrous for the person who would have relied on that help. I know the Cabinet Member knows how important this scheme is, so will he please ensure that by September, the Ask for Angela scheme has been tested in all of our nighttime economy establishments, and I'm happy to work with him on this in any way I can.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Onuaha.
Thank you, Councillor. Well, you know that we recently won again the Purple Flag. Indeed, you spoke to me earlier and congratulated me on us as a council winning this. So, on one hand, you seem to acknowledge that something is working. On the other hand, you seem to say it's not. However, I would just like to assure you that we are working with all partners, and as you've said, we will be happy. I will be happy to also have that conversation with you.
Thank you, Councillor Onuaha. Next question, Councillor Pandey to Councillor Shahs Khan, please. Apologies, Councillor Mullo to Councillor Onuaha again, please. You might as well stand in, Councillor Onuaha.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So, knife crime is personal to me, and the Cabinet Member in his answer said, "We strongly disagree that knife crime is running rampant and unchecked in our city. Earlier this year, we had 5 stabbings in 12 days. 5 stabbings in 12 days. So I ask you, Councillor, who's to blame for failing to protect the citizens of our city? Is it you? Is it the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner? Is it the Chief Constable? Or is it all of the above?"
Councillor Onuaha.
Right. We've had 5 stabbings in 12 days. That is horrendous. Definitely. And I don't think we should then make that into a campaign of, oh, look, here's who to blame. Because the first issue we should address is that people, for whatever reason, feel that they can go out into the city and express their emotions through violence. And which is why we're working with partners, with the police, with our MPs as well, with the government. The leader is writing to the Home Secretary to ensure that the majority of people who are not going around the city with knives or with dangerous weapons do not feel that a minority, 5, 6 people, can dictate the outlook of the city. So my disagreement is not to deny that there's been violence in the city. My disagreement is that we let 5, 6 people determine the brand of our city. We should not do that, and we will never do that.
Thank you, Councillor. Next question, Councillor Pandit to Councillor Shaz Khan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Khan, the answer doesn't really answer the question. As we know that after a lot of trouble and hard work, we got the Article 4 in Mackworth and New Zealand area, Mayoral in New Zealand specifically, and HMOs are a big problem in that area. So any new applications, one of the criteria is the concentration of HMOs, existing concentration in the area. So if you don't know the exact number of HMOs, that process can be affected. So my question was, how can we do it? I'm more than happy to meet you, but we need to find a way to really get the number of HMOs in an area to accurate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pandit. Councillor Khan.
Thank you, Councillor Pendey. And I'm genuine in my reply. I don't know how long you've been a councillor, but if you was around in 2018-19, you would have known that I campaigned for Article 4 to be introduced to stop the proliferation of HMOs. Right. Now, you're asking me something that even our officers can't do, which is to go and physically count HMOs that aren't registered. What we intend to do with Article 4 is to make sure that these are registered. We are working on the Landlord's Charter, Landlords Register, to try to get those that are previously HMOs to be registered. Now, I honestly don't know. If you know of a way where we can sort of get all these registered, then you tell me, and I'm willing to listen to you. But in terms of talking to me, by all means, come and talk. Now, I had hoped that the Renters' Rights Bill would be given royal assent by the end of this month, but unfortunately, it's been put back to late autumn. Now, that hasn't stopped me from asking my officers to do our own landlord's charter and register. Hopefully that will be ready in 6 to 8 weeks, and we will send it out for a 13-week consultation and try to do the best we can until the Renters' Rights Bill comes out. Now, that would have saved us a lot of time and resource, but unfortunately it's delayed, so I'm not prepared to wait for it any longer, so we're introducing our own.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. Next question, Councillor Eyre to Councillor Chambers, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank the Cabinet Member for giving publicity to all the times I committed our previous administration to keeping our 10 community-managed libraries open, which of course is exactly what we did. So we know that negotiations were going on throughout the start of this year with community-managed libraries and sporting communities. Why did 2 Cabinet members state on social media that sporting communities will be taking over the libraries and that a deal had been delivered when no such deal had been signed and no such deal will be delivered?
Thank you, Councillor Eyre. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you, Councillor Eyre. Yes, we were in negotiations with sporting communities, and we were quite a way down that path. It was pulled at the 11th hour. I believe it was the right decision. The proposal appeared to position the library offer secondary, and that is not our vision. The Labour administration's long-term vision for our library service needed to be aligned with, their vision needed to align with ours, and it didn't. And it's as simple as that. I'm more than happy to meet you to go into more detail. I know Councillor Wright decided to speak to an officer and asked to come and meet me. I gave you the offer, you've not come, but I'm quite happy to sit down and speak with you. But just on the libraries, Councillor Eyre, you state you care about the libraries. I've personally visited every single library at least once in most cases over the past 6 weeks. I've listened to staff, spoken with volunteers and seen firsthand the important work being done in our communities. You state you care about the libraries, however, Springwood Library in your ward of Oakwood allege they haven't seen any of their councillors since you visited just before the election in 2023. Is that how you show you care? Making bold statements to the Telegraph that you're fearful and they're in limbo only contributes to the anxiety and worry felt by our staff and our 134 fabulous volunteers at our non-statutory community libraries. Is that how you show you care? Budget savings of £265,000.
Councillor Chambers.
Meaning books,
can you
resources,
can you just answer the question, please?
staffing,
Councillor
would
Chambers.
all be reduced. Is that how you show you care?
Councillor Chambers,
Yes?
with a bit of respect, can you just answer the question instead of talking over me, please? Please?
I think that answers your question. Whilst you're all here making headlines, I'm busy making a difference.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Okay, item 9. We will now receive a minute of extract from the hearings panel subcommittee.
Mayor, I have another question on the questions list.
Sorry.
You wouldn't know what I do on a daily basis, Councillor Mulhall, so shut up.
My apologies, Councillor Eyre to Councillor Chambers.
Here we go again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Chambers, please check the facts before you spout things in your answers. I welcome the admission in the answer to question AA in the final paragraph that this administration's laser focus on a trust which you failed to deliver, so you dismissed most of the interest from 2023. So will the Cabinet member now accept that creating an all-or-nothing expression of interest process, as opposed to inviting every possible interest in each library, was the wrong approach, and because of this, the future of our non-statutory community libraries cannot be guaranteed past 2027?
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Chambers.
I think we've answered that in the question, actually, the first response. But what I would say to that is, I could have quite easily signed those contracts over and gone with it, and we would probably have no libraries in 6 months. I'm surprised we've got libraries now. I went through every line with a fine-tooth comb to make sure this was the right deal. And at the 11th hour, yes, I did pull it. And I stand by that. My gut said it was the wrong thing to do. Them libraries will be open until 2027. And I hope that by that time, we've got 2 years. No, don't keep... We talk about respect.
Councillor Eyre, please,
okay?
answer the question.
So, we've got 2 years for our 10 community libraries, which are in your wards as well, to absolutely thrive, not survive. I have done so much work and I'm quite happy to sit down with you, and if you go to your libraries, you'll hear what I've been doing with them and what we've done in the last 6 weeks, so that when it does come to LGR, they will have no excuse on the table because they will all be thriving community hubs in this city.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers.
Yep.
Okay, item 9, minute extract 0425 of the hearings panel subcommittee. We will now receive a minute extract from the hearings panel subcommittee, which met in May to consider the outcome of an investigation into a complaint about a councillor. The council complaints procedure requires that the outcome of hearings are reported to the full council for information. The minutes and decisions notice arising from the meetings are included in your agenda pack for this purpose. The purpose of this item is not to revisit the issue that were considered at considerable length as part of the hearings process, nor does council have the power to alter the outcome of that process. I therefore request that members limit their contribution to the recommendations that the panel has made, with the intention of strengthening the council's procedures for dealing with member conduct issues. So, Councillor Hassel, as the chair of the hearings panel in relation to this matter, will you move the minutes, please?
Move it as printed, Mr. Mayor.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Smell. Any speakers on this? Councillor Graves.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we have a council here that keeps on giving. You do realise that this actually started in May 2023, when a certain cabinet member, Councillor Chambers, made a rather stupid remark on
Hold
social
on a minute,
media.
is that actually allowed?
All this came out in the hearing. You, Councillor Chambers, made a stupid remark in the mayor-making of 2023. And since then, we've actually, all I wanted, Mr. Mayor, was an apology. Just an apology, because it was a rash decision. She was a new councillor, and you can tell by the way she answers the questions here.
Councillor Graves,
She's just very, very political.
Councillor Graves, like I said, we don't want to revisit it. We just want to strengthen
I'm
the
not
panel,
revisiting. I'm just making a comment on the recommendations.
I think your comments are noted.
Yep, thank you very much. And what I'd like to say is that had that happened, this wouldn't have occurred. We spent this is 2 years down the line. The council prevaricating, the council trying to do things that they shouldn't do, all right? And it's 2 years, and it's cost the council an awful lot of money on external lawyers. Mr. Mayor, I think what we should do is learn from this, because it's very, very clear that although I did speak out the recommendations, the private pink papers, there was actually no information in those pink papers, something I'd been advocating for many, many years on the Standards Committee. So I hope, Mr. Mayor, that we will learn that what shouldn't happen in this council is, and if members like Councillor Chambers actually took responsibility for what she'd done, all this would have gone away 2 years ago.
Thank you, Councillor Graves. Do you wish to speak on the motion?
I'd like to respond to that. You've let him speak. I'd like to respond to that.
Councillor Chambers.
Oh, because I've got to be muted again.
No, Councillor Chambers, please. You can speak as long as it's on the motion.
Well, it's actually, I'd like to make a statement because I have actually kept my mouth shut until this process was over.
We can't take a statement.
That's quite happy. Yeah, he has brought me into this, I'm afraid.
Councillor Chambers, you have two options available to you right now. You can either speak on the item on the agenda, as guided by Mr. Mayor, or you can raise your hand and say you're making a point of personal explanation. Which of the two are you doing?
Second option, please. CP65, second option, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have remained silent on this until the process had concluded. So on the 23rd of November 2023, Councillor Graves shared a video on social media. In it, he made comments about a separate complaint that had been dealt with through the council's complaints procedures and had been concluded. Councillor Graves did not dispute posting the video on social media. Councillor Graves knew that the information he disclosed in the video was confidential and had been identified as such by resolution of the Standards Committee. Councillor Graves failed, without justification, to remove the video from circulation.
Just one sec, Councillor Chambers.
Followed two requests to do so by the monitoring officer.
Councillor Chambers,
yes.
A point of personal explanation has to be directly related to the comments that Councillor Graves has made about you in his previous speech that he's just made. It needs also to be concise, please.
Councillor Prosser said.
Councillor Prosser has not just spoken.
I'm not allowed to say what I want to say, so I will send you this
Councillor
statement.
Chambers.
Yes.
We have to comply with the committee procedure rules. CP65 is responding to the comments that Councillor Graves has just made.
Okay, so Councillor Graves claimed, yes, that the council has wasted over £7,000 of taxpayers' money on the investigation. You broke the rules, okay? I'm also aware that he was advised to make a public apology in this very chamber, but you wouldn't show the apology. I wonder why, because it would have been very derogatory, I assume. I think it's you, Councillor Graves, that's cost the taxpayer £7,000. I really do. And I have never been asked by any single person to give you an apology.
Point of information, Mr. Mayor. Go on all night. The council
excuse me, Councillor Graves. What's the point of information?
It's about what she's just said.
Excuse me, Councillor Graves.
Yeah.
Councillor Graves, we address each other with respect to this chamber, and what is a point of information?
The point of information is
Do you
I
mean
did
a point
offer.
Of personal explanation.
It is a personal explanation. I did offer to apologise. The council officers refused to allow me to do that. All right, because I wouldn't give the statement before this council meeting was announced.
As required by the law.
Okay, is there any more speakers? Councillor Peatfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am keeping my comments to the recommendations from the subcommittee. I have to admit that I'm a little disappointed about some of these recommendations. I'm disappointed at the lack of balance, of fairness and of principle that has not been represented by this standards committee. Now, the kangaroo court that was held, of which this is minuted...
Councillor Peatfield, can I just stop you there? It wasn't a kangaroo court. The recommendations have all gone through. We just said finalise and remove the minutes. So can you just stick to what we need to be sticking to?
I'm talking to the recommendations. I'm talking about what's missing from the recommendations. And what's missing is impartiality at the end of the day. When a member of the same party is actually making a decision on their colleagues on the sanctions that should be applied, actually, and also your colleagues as well, that we all know that you all support each other and work together. 3 of you outnumbered the voting members in the Standards Committee, and that meant that, I mean, bravo, you followed the rules, you absolutely had to, and you unquestionably found that Councillor Graves unquestionably breached the Councillor's Code of Conduct. However, my point is that if you really, really believed that this committee was impartial and effective, then surely one of the recommendations would have been that someone impartial should actually make the decision on the sanctions. So you agreed that he breached the Councillor's Code of Conduct, but you gave no sanctions whatsoever because you all support each other. This is not a reasonable way to behave. This is not impartiality. And my point to the recommendations, is that I would like to see, and we will be advocating in future committee meetings, for an impartial decision on what and how and if sanctions are applied. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Prosser.
I'd just like to seriously object to what we've been accused of there. I'm not going to talk about what happened in the hearing. I don't think that's appropriate here, and I don't think that's appropriate to accuse us all of what you've just done. So I just want to raise that objection.
Thank you, Councillor Prosser. Councillor Chambers. Please. Councillor Hassall, you have the right to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's little wonder we get situations like this with the response that we've had from quite reasonable recommendations here. This panel was represented cross-party, including your own councillor, Peatfield. And as far as I am aware, all of the sanctions were agreed cross-party. So any sort of nepotism...
Councillor Peatfield, can you let him finish, please? Can you let him finish?
The hearing was held online for everyone to see. I fundamentally reject any claim that has just been made by the Leader of the Council there. It should be embraced that we're actually trying to improve our standards here, not an opportunity to slag each other off. We'll never get anywhere if we keep doing that sort of thing in this environment. We're trying to improve our processes here as councillors and elected members. Let's try and embrace it, not try and make little political points. It's futile. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hassall. Can we move to the vote, please? All those in favour? Of the recommendation?
Your hands up, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You can't see Councillor Graves' hand, is it? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Is Councillor Graves voting?
Yes, move. Thank you.
Point of personal explanation, Mr. Mayor. Yes. Yeah, it's a comment to myself.
During the public questions, CB65 I think it would be, during the members' questions, Councillor Chambers made a statement that I had not visited my local library since just before the 2022 elections. I've just gone back and double-checked. I last popped into the library on either the 24th or 25th of April this year to see two volunteers. Neither volunteer was there at the time, so one issue was dealt with via email, one via messenger. Ironically, the issue they wanted to talk to me about was the lack of communication from this council to that library about any potential handover to sporting communities. So I'll leave it to Councillor Chambers if she wants to apologise for the incorrect statement she made, but I'm happy that the record's been corrected.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, item 10, minute extract 1325 of the Audit and Governance Committee. The next item of business is a minute extract from the Audit and Governance Committee. Presenting its annual report to the Council for approval, Councillor Morgan McGeehan, will you move the minute and present the annual report? So, Councillor Wright, will you move it, please?
Yeah, moved.
Do you have a seconder?
Yeah.
Councillor Pearce. Any speakers? Can we move to the vote? All those for the recommendation? Report, sorry, thank you. That's moved, thank you. Item 11, urgent non-executive decisions made by the Chief Executive. The next item of business presents a summary of urgent non-executive decisions made by the Chief Executive under the delegated authority, in consultation with political group leaders. In this case, the report provides details of a decision taken by the Chief Executive last month for Derby City Council to participate in a Derbyshire-wide consultation on initial proposals for local government reorganisation. Councillor Peatfield, as the leader of the Council, will you table this report on behalf of the Chief Executive, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I approve this report to full council. This urgent non-executive decision by the Chief Executive had to be made due to the Council's failure to adopt an interim decision in March, full council, on the local government reorganisation. So that meant that the Chief Executive did not have the powers to approve the consultation. So all group leaders were informed about this non-executive decision. I believe that Councillor Smale was there representing Councillor Hassel. They all confirmed that that was okay, and there was no drama. So hopefully there won't be any now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peatfield. Can I take a seconder, please? Councillor Dinser. Any more speakers on this? Can we move to the vote, please? All those in favour?
All those in favour? Any again? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Any against? 18. Lucy as well.
Okay.
Any against? 2 against.
Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Item 12, Regulation and Investigatory Powers Act 2000, Appointment of Senior Responsible Officers. We will now receive a report in relation to the designation of senior responsible officers in respect of the Council's duties under the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000. That provides a regulatory framework under which any surveillance activity is undertaken by the Council. Councillor Kozlowski, as a Cabinet Member for Governance, will you move the recommendation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The officers appointed for the purposes of the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000 were the Service Director for Communities and the Service Director for Adults and Health. Structural redesigns have seen both of these posts each being split into 2 different roles. Therefore, this report recommends that the posts of Service Director for Adult Social Care and Service Director for Housing and Regulatory Services are designated as authorising officers for the purposes of both Part 1 and Part 2 of the Regulation of Investigatory Powers 2000. Furthermore, the report requests that the monitoring officer updates the Constitution to reflect these designations, and to note that the Director of Corporate Governance, Property and Procurement and Monitoring Officer remains the Council's Senior Responsible Officer with oversight for all regulation of investigatory powers 2000 activity.
Thank you, Councillor Kozowski. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Onuwaha. Any more speakers? Can we move to the vote, please? All those in favour? Any against? That's passed, thank you. Item 13, investigatory and disciplinary procedures for non-statutory chief officers. The final item of business is a report related to disciplinary procedures for non-statutory chief officers. Elected members are responsible for the appointment and dismissal of officers at service director level and above. And the procedures, therefore, form part of the Council's consultation. The updated procedure reflects changes made to the policy of the Council's statutory chief officers in January 2023. Councillor Dinser, as a Cabinet Member with responsibility for human resources, will you move the recommendation in the report, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move the recommendations on 2.1 and 2.2.
Thank you, Councillor Dinser. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hesselgrave. Any further speakers? Move to the vote. All those in favour? Any against? That's carried. Thank you. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our business for the meeting. Thank you to everyone here in the Council Chamber and those watching online. I hope you all find an opportunity to enjoy a great summer break, and I look forward to seeing you all again in September. Thank you, good night and God bless.